Well, generally, what we consider to be holidays were, in fact, holy days in Africa, specifically in ancient Kemet, Egypt, Nile Valley culture and civilization. And these holy days were timed to coincide with the relationship between specific celestial phenomena in the heavens, stars, constellations, the sun, and planet Earth. And that relationship literally affects everything on the planet. And because there was a specific impact on the way that the Earth's relationship to the sun, as it revolves around the sun, affects everything on the Earth, that specific times for certain holy celebrations were organized. So this season, this winter season, is a time where we're approaching the winter solstice, which is the shortest day of the year. And we have celebrations now, Hanukkah, Festival of Lights. We have Christmas with Christmas lights. These lights refer to the fact that on the winter solstice, which is the shortest day of the year, day in which in the northern hemisphere we have 19 hours of night. And then the winter solstice spans from 4 days, December the 21st through the 24th. And then after that 4-day period of time, then the sun is born on December the 25th. That is, the length of the day begins to increase by approximately 1 minute per day. And that time frame was viewed in ancient Africa as the birth of the sun, the S-U-N. In other cultures or traditions, that tradition came down to us as the birth of a savior who was viewed as the Son of God. But many of the traditions that we now find in Christianity, for example, the birth of Jesus on December the 25th, the birth of Jesus in a stable, all refer to specific phenomena that were happening in the heavens and were acknowledged by Africans in Kemet in the Nile Valley over 6,000 years ago. We know this because we can look up in the sky at night and we can see specifically a constellation of Orion dominates the nighttime sky. And the constellation of Orion was known to the ancient Egyptians as Sahu. That was a constellation associated with a primary deity by the name of Asar or Osiris. He was the Lord of resurrection. And according to the story, Asar was murdered by his brother. And after his death, his spirit came and impregnated his virgin wife, Set, who then 9 months later gave birth to their son Heru on December the 25th. Now this story sounds familiar because it's an African story that's over 6,000 years old. Heru was born on December the 25th, the same birthday as his father. He was born to avenge the murder of his father and restore his father's kingdom. So this is a story, this is a myth that was a metaphor to help explain specific phenomena that were happening in heaven. So the priests in ancient Kemet were aware of this phenomena, and they in turn created rituals that will allow the people to maintain a certain system of order. After foreigners came into Kemet, they adopted many of the traditions of the Nile Valley, and they adopted many of the personalities and changed their names. So Asar was renamed Osiris, Aset was renamed Isis, Heru was renamed Horus, and then that story is a story that is later modified after the Romans conquered Egypt in 30 BCE, took Egypt away from the Greeks, and they then took these same personalities and they were known to their people as the Madonnan child, the Black Madonnan child. And ultimately, when Rome began to establish Christianity as the state religion, they then took this story of Asar, who is known as the Lord of Resurrection, and his son Heru, and morphed them into the religion that we now know as Christianity, with the birth of Jesus on December the 25th. December the 25th is the birth of the sun, S-U-N, when the length of the day begins to increase by approximately 1 minute per day. At the moment of the birth of the sun, the constellation of Orion is in the constellation known as Sagittarius, or which was known in ancient times as the stable of Aegeus. So it was said that the sun was born in a stable. There are 3 stars in the belt of Orion, which makes this constellation so readily identifiable. And those 3 stars point to the eastern star, which we now know today as Sirius. Sirius is the star system that was associated with Aset, the wife of Asar, the mother of Heru. And so in ancient times in Kemet, those 3 stars in the belt of Orion, or Sahu, were known as the 3 wise men, or the 3 kings. The eastern star, or Set, rises in the east around the time of the birth of the sun on December the 25th. And at the same time that eastern star is rising, it is rising in the constellation of Virgo, the Virgin. And so it was said then that the sun is born of a virgin, because the constellation of Virgo is halfway above the horizon, literally being bisected by the horizon. So the sun was said to have been born of a virgin. So this was a metaphor, if you will, for celestial phenomenon that determined specific things that were happening on earth. Others appropriated this knowledge and then incorporated it into their religious system and changed the names of these original mythological personalities. So we now know, beyond a shadow of a doubt, that the celebration of December the 25th as the birth of Jesus was a celebration that did not come into existence until at least 350 years after the birth of Christ. It was a result of conferences and meetings that were held by Constantine and Theodosius in order to hammer out the basic traditions of what would be the official state religion of the Holy Roman Empire. And no minister, no theologian today worth their salt can tell you with honesty that Jesus was born on December the 25th. Nobody knows the date that Jesus was born. That date was appropriated because for thousands of years prior to the birth of Jesus, that date, December the 25th, had been celebrated as the birth of the sun, the S-U-N.